Five Out Basketball, 5 segments, 5 takes. This is the podcast for NBA conversations. This is 5 Out Basketball, and it starts in 3, 2, 1.
And welcome to the fourth edition of the 5 Out podcast, making this 1 month in a row. It's been a fun ride to start off. I'm Joey, LeMaster, joined by Everton Levy. Everton, how are we doing?
I'm doing great, man. Like you said, 1 month down. So, I think we've done great with progress. We keep getting better every podcast. I'm just getting more and more excited every time we do it, man.
Yeah, absolutely. It's just me and Everton, we were kind of talking about it when we end our last podcast. This is what gets us to through the week. Like we get so excited to record this, talk some takes, talk some BS, hate, love. We do a little bit of everything here, and it's a blast. Everton, you excited to record today?
Excited to record. Are you?
Nope, not at all. Me and in case you guys, here's a little preview. I'm a Bulls fan, and we're gonna be talking a lot of Bulls basketball today. And I'm not excited. Being a Bulls fan isn't fun in 2024. Everton's from the city, but he is also a Thunder fan. So he's living kind of well. He's living kind of well. Bulls
Yes,
fans,
I
not so
am.
much. But we're not gonna dive into that just yet because the trade deadline happened yesterday. Normally, we record on Thursdays, but I went to the Vultures concert. Haha, nobody else here did. You guys didn't go. I had a great time. I saw the preview of the album, and it's never gonna drop, so only I'm gonna know what it was like. So we had to had to
Oh,
move the podcast
God.
back one day.
My goodness.
Yeah, it was a great show, but now we have an even better show on us because we have the fourth edition of the 5 Out podcast. As I just said, trade deadline just took place, and to start off, Everton, we didn't see a lot of big stars get traded. Were you surprised
Yeah.
by that?
I said this on our YouTube shorts and TikTok, wink, wink. But I'm so used to like the past 4 years, there's been like a superstar, star level player getting moved to a team to the point where like it's kind of an expectation nowadays.
Mhm.
And this was the first deadline in a while where like most of the guys that got moved were kind of like role players. They're literally role players.
Mhm.
So I think it was cool, honest. I think it was kind of cool. Like there was no big superstar to get traded because, as much as it's fun to see these guys go on new teams, sometimes it is cool to just say, yeah, we kept them where they were at to start the season and
Yeah,
end the season,
absolutely. Which
you
it's
know.
so enjoyable, but I still was relatively surprised, not just by the expectation, but like the stars that were rumored to be on trade block aren't in the best of situations. So it wasn't like we're gonna say one star player on a great team go to like another great team. Like for example, DeJounte Murray on the Hawks, like the Hawks, like they're struggling to make the play, and you think that would be a move for a team that's like maybe the Lakers or Warriors that are desperate to make a move. So I was relatively surprised, but like Everton said, we saw some role players get traded. And the first one I want to talk about, because as I said earlier, Everton, big Thunder fan, and the Thunder finally got another scoring option they need. If you somehow missed it, I don't know how you're listening to this, but the Thunder, they received Gordon Hayward in for Trey Man, Davis Bertans. Were there any picks involved?
I didn't see any picks. I didn't see any picks. So I'm assuming it's just those two players.
Okay, so what are your thoughts on getting Gordon Hayward before we dive into the Hornets, what they received?
I'll be honest, I was happy when I saw this trade. Like, hey, Trey, man, I like him as he's cool, whatever, but he was probably never gonna get a real role on this team. No hate at all, but like we have Shea and Giddy, we have Case and Wallace. We have picks too, so who knows if we could just replace him with a new young guard. So honestly, I think getting a very pivotal for us at the end of the day. Like as much as our young talent is really good and we've been able to beat a lot of really good teams, going into the playoffs is good to have some guy who can at least be a veteran presence and he can
Mhm.
still impact the court. So whether Gordon's a starter or coming off the bench, I think he can help us win some games. So I'm happy as a Thunder fan, honestly. We didn't give up a lot.
Yeah.
So
I thought this was a crucial trade to make for Thunder because we've talked about this before. Like the Thunder, like an AAU team, like it's just a bunch of young guys having fun. So you get this experienced guy. And I think it's gonna make a big impact for the Thunder. But I think Thunder fans are a little too excited. Like I'm not saying it's a bad trade at all, but I remember seeing on Twitter someone posted like a Jazz Gordon Hayward highlights. Like this is the guy we got, and the first reply is that Kobe Bryant highlights I'm seeing right now? Like is he in
Oh
this?
no.
It's like guys like Gordon Hayward. He's a solid player. Like he's great, but this isn't like Jazz Gordon Hayward. So I think Thunder fans need to chill out a little bit. I don't think this is the most game changing trade of all time, but it was a needed asset because you want an experienced guy, like kind of lead these younger guys, especially when they're contending for the number one seed right now. Like the expectations are high, and that's a lot for young players. Do they have the talent to stay up there? Absolutely, but it does not help gain experience at all.
Yeah, I agree. That's insane for them to show Jazz highlights. Like, I enjoyed Gordon Hayward on the Jazz, but guys, he's been through so many injuries and he's only
Yeah.
getting older. So
Mhm.
he's not the same, which is cool. Like, he's still a good player. He's not an all-star, which is perfectly fine.
Mhm.
And it's funny you said that. I was gonna bring up the fact that like when Bleacher Report dropped the trade, I saw new Thunder Big Three, and it was a picture of him or Gordon Hayward and Chet. And I'm like, uh I'm gonna be honest with y'all.
Yeah.
Like, I like the trade, but Gordon's probably the fourth or fifth best player on our team now. Like,
Yeah.
J Dub is literally probably our second best player, and then
Mhm.
Chet and hey, Josh Giddey, he's cool. Josh
Yo,
Giddey,
yo, 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 yo.
Josh Giddey plays basketball. He
Oh, dude,
plays
he definitely does
basketball.
hoop. Now, in all
Yeah.
honesty, though, would you rather have Josh Giddey or Gordon Hayward starting the rest of the season?
Whew. Hmm. Honestly, I feel like it depends on the matchup. Like, I feel like they can mix it up. In this situation, you kind of just stick with what's been working.
Mm,
Like you've had Shea at the one and Giddy at the two, and then J Dub, Dort, and Chet. And that's gotten you to being possibly the number one seed in the West right now. I feel like with that sort of a situation where you've also had like a top five or top seven defense and offense, you kind of just stay with what's working,
mhm,
and especially in a trade where you're not trading for an all-star, because when you trade for an all-star, yeah, you're gonna force him into the starting lineup because you traded a lot for him. But in this situation, it's like you traded for a role player. You ain't gotta force him into like the starting lineup when he doesn't need to be. So I feel like keeping him off the bench still get us like 15 points off the bench. I
mhm.
feel like that's pretty solid. So
Which
I'd
is
say keep him on the bench.
Yeah, which is so game changing the playoffs. Is like when let's say the Thunder go cold to have a guy like Gordon Hayward come off the bench and get you like a needed spark. That's crucial for a team like this. But anyways, to go on the other side, I'm very excited for Trey Mann here. Like I know the Hornets suck and nobody wants to be in Charlotte, but like, hey, Trey Mann has always showed the promise, but he's never really gotten the opportunity just because of how many guards the Thunder have. So like, pair him next to LaMelo Ball when he's healthy, and like the Hornets can have a really fun backcourt. Get Brandon Miller too, and like the Hornets showing not a lot, but they're showing a little more promise after this deadline.
Yeah, I think it was a good trade for the Hornets. Like you just said, Trey Man. Like I said earlier, I just never saw him getting an opportunity on this team. So I think it was best for his career to go to Charlotte. They just waived James Booknight, and that's a new spot open. Hopefully,
Mhm,
maybe he can take advantage. Plus, with LaMelo being a guy who can look, I'm a huge LaMelo fan,
mhm.
but he gets injured a lot. So it's good to have other guards. Kyle Lowry's probably gonna get bought out too. So there's open space now for Trey Man to show his talent, which is a plus for him. And for the Hornets, Brandon Miller's he's been
He's him.
hooping. And hey, shout out to the Hornets fans that booed him. Because hey, that's looking nice right now. And Miles Bridges, he's a good player. Let's just say that. I'm not going to speak too much on other things, but he's a good player for sure.
Mhm.
And I think they might re-sign him. But yeah, there's just some young guys on the roster. And Hornets, look, the record is terrible and they're not great, but at some point I think it'll click.
Yeah, absolutely. But before we go on to the next trade, as a Thunder fan, I'm wondering, are you disappointed you weren't able to get a big at this deadline?
Nah, not really. I feel like I said, I feel like we've established ourselves and I like Chet, he's doing a great job. And I think we didn't have to swing high. Like people kept telling me, yeah, y'all should trade for Laurie Markkinen and blah 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 this. And I'm like, honestly, I don't feel like we need to force ourselves to make a crazy move. We just make solid move for a vet. I'm cool because we're winning games, so there's no point.
Yeah,
Just
no,
keep it where
absolutely.
it's at. So yeah.
There was one player I wanted them to trade for, but he got traded to a different team. He got traded to the Raptors. I thought Kelly Olynyk would have been a perfect fit,
Mm.
being a big that could shoot the ball and like wouldn't impact the Thunder spacing. And I don't want to go too deep into this trade. I just saw a really funny meme, so that's why I want to bring it up. But the
Okay.
Toronto Raptors, they acquired Kelly Olynyk and Oshai Obaji for Kira Lewis, Otto Porter, and a 2024 first round pick. This Raptors team's gotta be the most confused. Like I complain a lot as a Bulls fan, but I have no idea what the Raptors are attempting to do. Like they finally started setting up the rebuilds. Like, okay, we got the right guys to build around. Let's start building for the future. And then they trade away a first round pick for Kelly Olynyk. Let's be serious now.
Yeah, I don't like when I saw that trade. I'm like, okay, wait, are y'all trying to win or lose? What's going on? Like, are y'all rebuilding or y'all just retooling? Because those are two different things.
Yeah.
Like I like the trades that they did for OG. And for Pascal, well, that one's a bit more shaky, but at least they got picks for Pascal. But
Yeah.
you get your picks, whatever, cool. And then now you're trading a first rounder for Kelly Olynyk. Look, Kelly Olynyk's a solid player. Don't get me
Absolutely.
wrong, but and Ochai Agbaji, or Ochai Agbaji, he's a young player. Well, is he really that young? Isn't he like
He's like gotta be
20?
24, 25.
Yeah, 24. So how much better can he get? I mean, hey, there's always time. But to give up a first rounder, I'm so confused with this Raptors
Yeah.
team. Like you said, I don't like because I think they're outside of the play-in right now.
Mhm.
So if this is a move to get higher up in the standings to just be in the play-in, I don't really get this move at
Especially
all.
especially when you're trying to rebuild, it's nuts. And then like they did the Din. We're not gonna talk about this, but they did a Dinwiddie for Schroeder trade, which they ended up buying out Dinwiddie. That's literally the most 2K generated trade of all time.
No, that's the trade you get when you're simming in my league, and then
Yeah.
the CPU offers you a trade. Like that move doesn't make sense to me either.
Uh-huh.
Like again, Schroeder, you kind of just that you could have just bought him out at that point because
Yeah.
you traded him for Dinwiddie just to waive Dinwiddie. Now I get why you waived Dinwiddie because why even have him? But I
Uh-huh.
don't know. The Raptors kind of confused me at this deadline. Like I don't know what they were trying to go for. Are they trying to retool and win games now, or are they trying to rebuild for the future? I'm really confused
Yeah,
about
this
what they're
is
doing.
just the Raptors, Masai Ujiri in a nutshell. Now, to pull up the
Yeah.
funniest tweet I've ever read, it was the trade announcement, and this guy tweeted, "When I'm in a trade a first round pick for a white center, I have to re-sign in the offseason competition, and my opponent is Masai Ujiri."
Hey,
I thought that was
Jakob
yeah,
Jakob.
exactly. Yeah, I thought that was the funniest thing in the world. But it's like I don't know what he's cooking. Like there's clearly a team that's ready for a rebuild, but like there's just some GMs, we'll get into this later, that think they're good enough to win and refuse to go to a full-on rebuild. And Masai Ujiri is 100% one of those guys.
He is easily one of them. Like, bro, it's okay. Y'all won your championship in 2019. Let's do
Mhm.
something different now. Let's start rebuilding and for the future. Like you got picks in return for the players you traded. Just you have your star like Scotty Barnes, all-star replacement, all-star player. You have your guy. You got RJ who's been better since he got that change of scenery. He made it quickly, I think, can continue to get better. Like, I'm not out on Grady Dick, but a little shaky there for him, but he's
Yeah.
still young, so there's still a time for him to grow, if
Mhm.
any. Like they have guys. Like, why try to win? Just build for the future. Just build for the future. I don't get it.
Yeah, I 99% agree. It's just I pulled out on Dick. Like I pulled out Dick, bro. Like he's not it. I've never been more disappointed in a player recently. Like not important though, but so we've seen teams that like are stuck in this rebuild stage. There is a team that's been terrible for a long time, and now all of a suddenly they are great. The New York Knicks acquired Bojan Bogdanovic and Alec Burks for Quentin Grimes, Evan Fournier, Malachi Flynn, and 2 second-round picks. Now, at first, when this trade got announced, they said they traded for Alec Burks in exchange for Quentin Grimes and 2 second-round picks. I'm like, what in the world are we doing, New York? Like, I've never been so mad. I made a heated TikTok right away. It's like, no way we had to attach picks to Quentin Grimes just to get Alec Burks. And then 10 minutes later, we're like, oh yeah, my bad. They got Bojan Bogdanovic too. It's like, oh, this makes sense. Okay, I get
That's
the vision. And
nah,
hot take
man.
right off the bat. I don't think people are ready for this conversation, but when healthy, I think the New York Knicks are the best team in the East now. I'm putting them over the Celtics.
Wow. Okay, that's a hot take. That's a
Yeah, we're
extremely hot
coming in
take.
hot. I'm so moved by this trade. Like, I think the Celtics have more stars, but the Knicks also have their own stars. They have depth, they have the defenders, and now they've acquired two 3-point shooters that are shooting over 40% from the 3-point line. This team can do everything. Jalen Brunson's him. Julius Randle, even though he annoys me, is him. Josh Hart and OG Anunoby, incredible defenders. Dante DiVincenzo can do a little bit of everything. Mitchell Robinson, when he's come back, is one of the best paint defenders and one of the best offensive rebounders in the league. Harkenstein has been incredible this season, something I would have never guessed. And the depth is there. This New York team is incredible. And like people don't really realize it, but like record wise, they're like 5 games behind the Celtics. That's not like a huge margin. Like the NBA is so competitive this year, and I think the Knicks are ready to make that jump to be the best team in the East.
I won't go as far as best team in the East. I get your notion though. Like the way this team is constructed, I think the Knicks GM has been cooking. Like you acquire Brunson on a pretty solid deal. Like it's not that's one of the cheaper deals now at this point with
Mhm.
how he's performing. And then you get OG. who's been, I know he's injured now for the next like month maybe, but still a good player when he's on the court. Mitchell Robinson is a good player. And then this trade is like, yeah, this is such a good trade. Like, especially what you gave up. Like Quentin Grimes, yeah, he's a young player, but when you can make moves like this, you got to give up guys like that. And
Mhm.
we look at the other guys like Malachi Flynn. Again, you're not gonna miss Malachi Flynn like that. Evan Fournier wasn't even playing; he was just a salary filler. And
Mhm.
then Ryan Ardiakono, Bulls fans, I hope you know who that is. Uh, he was the throw-in in this trade, and then 2 seconds. You can live with 2 seconds
Yeah,
getting
like they managed to
traded.
keep on the first round picks when they acquired all these guys throughout the season.
Exactly.
That's incredible business.
Especially like if they go into the offseason saying, you know what, we want to swing big for a superstar, they have the draft capital to do
Mhm.
so. So it's all there for the Knicks to
Yeah.
actually become a contender. I will agree with you on this. I think they might actually look and be a contender in the East. And the only team I'm confident about being better than them is probably the Celtics. Because look, the Celtics, it's hard to argue against the Celtics being the best team.
Mhm.
But the Bucks, look, they hired Doc Rivers and it's looking very spooky. The Sixers have Joel Embiid injury
Mhm.
troubles. The Pacers, I'd never consider them better than the Knicks already. So
Yeah.
this just doesn't really change that for me. And you know what though? The Cavs,
Cavs. Yeah, see,
yo,
I love it. I think the Cavs are more star heavy, but that
mm,
bench is it's like genuinely atrocious.
yeah.
And like we saw what the Knicks did the Cavs already, and the Knicks only improved since then.
True,
And
they have only gotten better since then.
so
So I won't
completely
lie,
moved.
you might have cooked there. Might have cooked there.
Yeah, and like I'm a sports betting nerd. In this month and a half into the season, I bet on the Knicks to win the East, and it's currently a $1 for a $60 bet. And dude, the vision was there. And
You might have been onto
yeah,
something
and
there.
just to win the East. And you wonder who I bet on to win that West because they had great odds?
Don't tell me you bet on the Lakers, bro.
No,
Okay,
we will never see that day. I bet on the Mavericks. And the
mm,
Mavericks also got heavy on the deadline. The
they did.
Mavericks, I think their biggest issue heading the trade deadline is they needed help in the big man position, and they nailed it 2 times in a row. The first one, Pete, they got acquired PJ Washington, who's been fantastic for Charlotte this season. Very underrated player because he plays for the Hornets. And they got rid of Grant Williams. They got rid of Grant Williams. He's in
You a
Charlotte
Grant
now.
Williams hater? You don't like Grant Williams,
I do
bro?
not like Grant. Grant Williams is like the definition of a clown. Yeah, dude, like I hate when role players start like beefing with like the NBA stars. Like him and Pat Bev, just you guys are just unserious people.
Oh, so you like that Drake quote?
Yeah,
Role
no.
players talking like they starters. I hate it.
Yeah, I swear I'm not a Drake meat rider, guys, especially after what came out recently. But but like, dude, that's just I hate those type of players. And PJ Washington is an immediate upgrade. I don't want to say he's
Yeah,
like a star, so I hate saying this, but like he's a great third option to have next to Luca and Kyrie. It's not like a big three, but PJ Washington is an awesome player. He's like a slightly worse, well, not slightly, he's a worse Siakam, but hey, Siakam's a fantastic player as well. So to get a player like that to pair with him is great.
yeah, yes, it is. I think it was a good trade, especially they didn't give up like crazy stuff for him. Like Grant Williams, yeah, it's okay. Like you can pass. And then Seth Curry, I don't know how much Seth Curry was even playing when he was on the Dallas Mavericks. I
Mhm.
don't even think he was getting that much minutes. And then a first round pick in 2027. Hey, first picks are kind of overrated. Let's call a spade a spade.
Mhm.
But I still think it was a decent trade. And just to get PJ, who one, he's on a long-term deal. Like he just re-signed with the Hornets this offseason. So it's not like you have to worry about, yeah, you have to re-sign this guy in the offseason. Like he's on the team for the next like 3 to 4 years. So you got him under contract on a good contract at that too. And he's just a really solid player. I think he's upgrade over Grant Williams. I think he comes in and right away is probably like their starting four.
Mhm.
So I think that was a great move for the Mavericks.
Yeah, and there's an argument made that the Mavericks acquired another starter. I'm not sure if we can start right off the bat, but this is one of my favorite underrated players in the league. I loved him in Chicago so much, and that
Mm.
is Daniel Gafford. Daniel Gafford is now on the Mavericks in exchange for almost nothing. It was Rashawn Holmes and going to be a late first round pick this season. Daniel Gafford is just one of those fun players to watch. Like you throw him the alley oop, and he's doing something crazy with it. Like he's a fantastic player, so electric to watch. And dude, imagine you're Daniel Gafford. Okay, you wake up the night before. Jordan Poole's throwing you alley oops. Like life sucks. You're on the Wizards. There's no hope. Like you're depressed. And then you wake up, you get a call, and Mark Cuban's like, "Hey, you're coming to my team now," and Luka Doncic is throwing you alley oops. I'm crying. Like I'm straight up crying, like bawling my eyes out. That's like the dream scenario. And the Mavericks have two of my favorite like underrated Bulls players in Derek Jones and Daniel Gafford. They're just so exciting to watch. And like that
Ooh.
team, they're great, but now they're electric. Like this is gonna be
Yeah.
such a fun team to watch in the playoffs, and just it's nice to see Luca finally get some help.
Yeah, I think that was another great move. Like Daniel Gafford, I think he averaged 2 blocks as well. Like he's an interior defender. You know what I'm saying? He's interior
No
defense.
more Dwight Powell versus Nikola Jokic matchups.
Literally, yeah. Like, and he's a big body too, and he can jump. Like you said, he does some great things in the air when the ball's in the air. And Luca, not too many guys better at throwing lobs than Luca Doncic. So going from playing with what Trey Jones and Jordan Poole, no hate to Trey Jones by the way, but Trey Jones, not Trey Jones,
Nice. Yeah.
Tyus Jones and Jordan Poole to playing with Luca Doncic. Yeah, that's an upgrade. I don't know if he'll start over Lively right away. I think they're
Mm.
very similar players. I think Gaffer might. You could say he's better, maybe,
I'd
but
say he's better right now, but there's more upside for Lively.
yeah, for sure. Because Lively's like, well, 19 or 20, whereas
Yeah.
Gafford's probably like 24, 25, maybe even
Mhm.
older than that. So I think there's more room to go for Lively. But either way, like you have better options at the big now. Like Dwight Powell, look, I don't think he's the worst player in the world, nothing like that,
He's
but
not.
he just shouldn't be starting. Like
Mm-mm.
simple as that. He can be a backup big, sure, but a starting big, nah, man. You can't be a serious team and have him as your starter.
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
I think this is a great move, and for what they gave up, Rashawn Holmes, you can rest easy
Uh-huh.
knowing like he's
And
not
dude,
on your
he had a
team anymore.
horrendous contract.
Exactly, and it
He
was a
was making
player
like
option
yeah,
too.
16 mil with a player option after that. Oh my
Yeah,
God.
and he was
That's
gonna
a
accept that.
Washington player if I've seen one. Like,
Exactly, he didn't accept that contract, and he's gonna be on
yeah.
that Wizards team with about $14 million to get paid. So I think this is a great trade deadline for the Mavericks. If we were doing winners and losers, we already said two winners: Knicks and
Yeah.
Mavericks for sure.
Those are the two teams I need to start winning. I need them to win their East and the West. At least one. If at least one of them wins, I'm going out big. But like those are the teams I'm counting on.
Yeah.
But finally, I know other trades happened in Everton. If you want to do another one after this, that's fine. But there's one more trade that really moved me, and that was the Sixers acquiring Buddy Hield. The Sixers acquired Buddy Hield for practically nothing. Marcus Morris, Furkan Korkmaz finally escaped Philadelphia. Was on the trade block for like 5 years. He's finally
He
out of
put
there.
himself there too, which was crazy. Dude requested a trade. Like, what, bro?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. Who are you? And they got 3 seconds as well. But Buddy Hield is exactly what the Sixers need. Give Joel Embiid, Tyrese Maxey, and Tobias Harris some space. And suddenly the 76ers have like a lot more room on the court to work with. And when Embiid comes back, this is crazy to say. I think his game's gonna take another step.
I think this is a great trade with or without Embiid. Like, obviously, Embiid's going to be injured for the foreseeable future. So I think this is a great move to get another guy who can score the ball. Obviously, he's not going to replace Embiid's 36 points per game.
Uh-huh.
But, you have Maxi who can probably take a jump from about 26 to maybe like 28, closer to 30. And then you have Tobias who, hey, Tobias can put the ball in the basket. We've seen it before. He's averaged 20 points per game. So that's always a guy who can score the ball. And now you have Buddy Hield who, granted, his numbers don't look as crazy as they have in the past. I think that's more of a role difference and with his minutes dropping. But this is another guy who can put up around 16, 18 points a game. And obviously we all know about him as a shooter. That's been his like calling card since he's been in the NBA. So I think this is a great move. And for what you gave up, Marcus Morris, mm, okay.
But dude,
Furkan
he has the
Korkmaz.
key to Philadelphia though.
Oh my God.
The key to Philadelphia is now in Indiana. Like
That
they
is
ran
crazy.
everything.
That is insane. And then Furkan Korkmaz, they say he's Luka with opportunity. Joking. But he's yeah, you can sleep at night knowing bro's not in your team. And then second round picks, they're second round picks, man. Like unless the Pacers draft the next Jokic at the 41st pick, you'll be okay without that second round pick. So I think it's a great move for the near future without Embiid. And then with Embiid on the court, that's even more spacing. So I think that's even better for them going forward.
Yeah, absolutely. And before we transition, is there any other trades you would like to talk about? There's a couple other minor ones, but does anything catch your eye?
The only other one I wanted to mention, and it's not a big one, but I think it's decent, is the Bucks trading Cameron Payne and a second round pick for Pat Beverly.
Mm.
I think obviously I've said this in the past. I thought they should have went for Alex Caruso, but I don't know how available Alex was, so I'm not gonna blame them for not making that happen. What?
So I saw a post on Twitter. This could totally be like fake news, but it was
Okay.
from the page I saw post all the other trades. I believed them.
Yeah.
Apparently, the Bulls and Warriors were in talks for Caruso, and the Bulls were demanding Kaminga. So I think that's just how high the trade value was.
Wow. Okay, so the Bucks were not getting him unless
Yeah.
maybe they gave up Bobby, but so that's what I was gonna get into next with Bobby Portis. they actually kept him, which is a plus. Like
Mhm.
the only way you trade Bobby Portis is if you get a guy like Caruso. Like you can't trade Bobby Portis and get like
Absolutely.
some mid, you know? So you keep Bobby and then you get Patrick Beverly who for Cameron Payne, who it's Cameron Payne, man.
Yeah.
And you get Patrick Beverly who, look, if you need him to do two things on the court, he's gonna be feisty and he's gonna play defense. And that's kind of all you need from him. Because scoring wise, the team can put the ball in the basket. You have Damian Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo. And I think this is a great, obviously Chris Middleton, you know, we don't know the timetable on his injury, so yeah, but I think Patrick Beverly was a good move for them, especially for what they gave up. Didn't give up like a crazy amount of stuff for him. So I think Now's trade was decent. But other than that, I think there was just kind of just small trades. And I'm like, it's okay. I'm not really want to talk about that one.
Yeah, well, there's one thing we say for certain. The Stars didn't go off the board, but it was an active trade deadline indeed. Thank you so much for tuning into this segment of the 5 Out Podcast. I am Joey LeMaster, and me and Everton are so thankful for your guys' support. If you want to keep supporting us, please check out the full podcast on Spotify and follow our TikTok account. Both of those will be in the bio, and make sure to leave a like and stay smooth.